I enjoy coming to work every day knowing that clients are depending on me to guide them through whatever financial needs they have.
Every client we have is different. And so it's really about finding out what's really the most important thing per client.
With financial planning, everything is interconnected. So a comprehensive plan means that you're taking care of income needs now, income needs in the intermediate term, and income needs long term. We'll do an asset cycle portfolio. We'll do a riskalyze test. We'll do a life insurance audit or a life insurance review.
And so when we build a deep relationship with our clients, then we can take a step back and then we can look at different options to help them specifically get to their goals. One of the things I feel our job is as advisors is to introduce strategies to clients that maybe they did not know that they were out there. But it's our idea, our job to come out and say, have you ever thought about this?
And the planning it's not always about income, but a lot of it is also about the legacy. So the element of family is very important to us, and it's important to our clients.
Hello, my name is Steve Jablonski, and I'm hosting Financially Speaking with Jeff Bush today. We got a great topic today, which hopefully everybody will enjoy at some point in their lives, and that's retirement. And really, before we get into it today, Jeff has written a couple really good articles in Clippinger and also the Reading Eagle, and they kind of sum up retirement. And Jeff, before we get into the good stuff and the details, what were those articles about?
Yeah. Well, hello, Steve. Welcome to the show. Good to be here, as always, here on PCTV. It's nice here at the studios right here at Pottstown High School, and of course, the people here at PCTV have been so gracious to us over the years, and they show the program not only on on their cable programming, but also they stream it on their website, which is the PCTVnetwork.com, and we put it on our website as well, which is informedfamily.com. So it's good that we get the information out in a lot of different ways. As far as communication goes, and some of the articles that I've written in Reading Eagle and also in the Kiplinger newsletter, it's really focused on retirement and investing and saving for retirement, because that is such an important topic and one that affects really everybody.
Yeah. And so when we talk about retirement and savings vehicles, a lot of times we hear out there, what's a qualified investment?
Yeah, so a qualified investment means that it falls under the rules of a government qualified retirement plan. So when you think of we always refer to it as qualified money. So qualified money means an IRA or a 401k, a 403b, something like that. And they usually have tax benefits attached to that, and that's usually the significance of a qualified plan or qualified investment, as opposed to a non-qualified investment where you don't have the same tax benefits.
And we talk about qualified investments. Also, we hear a tax-deferred vehicle. So what is the meaning of that?
Well, just in its most basic form. So think of a 401k. So if you have a 401k account and you put money into a 401k, so it's your money, or maybe it's the match of your employer, all the growth on that account is tax deferred, meaning that you get a little bit of a tax break going in. So the money coming out of your paycheck is not subject to tax. The employer puts a match in, and they get a tax break on their corporate tax return. Okay, so then what happens in essence, is all this money that's sitting in its 401k account is tax deferred or untaxed money. When you get to be of retirement age and then you start taking the money out of that account, then you're taxed on it as it comes out. So the other thing I want to add about that, which is very significant here, is you have to comply with all the rules that are that govern a qualified plan. And one significant one is that you have to be 59 and a half to take the money out of this qualified plan without a penalty. Okay, so you're 59 and a half, you take the money out, you pay the tax on it,
Correct.
but not the penalty.
And is there any minimum age to start a qualified plan? Do you have to have income, or is there an age minimum?
No, there's no age minimum per se. So if you're in a Roth, or I should say if you're in an IRA or even a Roth IRA, as long as you have earnings, you can open up an account.
Yep.
And in fact, we encourage people to do so, to open up an IRA account if you're working and put money into a retirement account.
And I know the landscaping has changed a lot in retirement planning. Well, there used to be a three-legged stool, and tell us a little bit about that and how many legs are left.
Well, there still is a three-legged stool, but not everybody has that. But well, we like to say it's not. This is not your father's retirement. And in fact, we have that slide up, retirement accounts. We have the graph where we show the progression of where we were in 2000 and then where we were in 2010 and where we are today. If we can get that slide up there, but it shows you how retirement is different today than it was just a generation ago. And the main difference is that we're less reliant on defined benefit plans and more reliant on defined contribution plans. What does that mean? Well, it used to be if you retired after working for a company for a long time, you got a pension. That's considered a defined benefit plan. Today, what's happening is more and more people are retiring and they don't have the pension. They're getting a 401k, where that's a combination of their own money and maybe a corporate match. But big companies are getting away and have been getting away, for some time from these big pension plans. And now it's all Steve. It's all about the 401k right now.
Yeah, because now if you go back to 2000, defined pensions and 401ks were pretty equal at about $5 trillion, and now as you see, that number's about 17.
Yeah, so that's the slide I was referring to. So, if you look at where we are right now, all the assets are in the IRAs and the defined contribution plans, which are the 401ks. And you can see here there's a dramatic shift from like today where we are versus where we were just 19, 20 years ago. These assets have grown tremendously. Now, a lot of that has to do with the growth in the equity market over the last 10 years. We've been on a pretty strong bull run in the stock market, and we could talk about that a little bit today, or maybe that's a subject for another day. But if you can see that there's been a dramatic increase in IRA accounts and 401k accounts over this period of time.
Yeah. And so responsibility has been shifting to us, and we get into 401ks. Now, you said that we can take money out if you're 59 and a half. Are there any exceptions to the rule if somebody needs money earlier, say at 55?
Yeah, there are exceptions. One exception is a rule called 72T, So a 72T lets you take out what they call substantially equal payments, and then you have to follow all the rules. You have to make sure that you have to do if you start it, you can't stop it for 5 years. You can't take out more, you can't take out less. It's based on an actuarial calculation. It's really designed for people who retire early before they're 59 to get at their retirement account. So there's that. You could take money out for education. You can take money out to buy a first-time, if you're a first-time home buyer. So there are some exceptions to the rule of the 59 and a half. But remember, if you do that, I mean, you're really, dipping into money that's really earmarked for retirement. So, the government in their infinite wisdom is really doing you a favor here and saying, okay, this money is really dedicated for retirement.
And if we go back years ago, money in a 401k pretty much had to stay there until you retired, until you were separated from service. And then now there's a rule out there, if you're 59 and a half, what are some options there?
Yeah, so a lot of the planning that we do is with, because a lot of our clients are right in that age bracket, and we can do in-service distributions or in-service rollovers. And once you're 59 and a half, you can roll over that money to an IRA account, and frequently you have a lot more options in a standalone IRA account than you would have in your company's 401k. Because remember, a 401k plan is really designed to gather money. Yep. All the rules and the stipulations of the 401k are really designed to gather assets. They're not a particularly effective distribution vehicle. They don't provide any guarantees, or they don't particularly manage risk all that well. You're just plopping money into an investment account, and you take your lumps with whatever investment account that you have. Plus, most people aren't really equipped to manage their own risk inside of a 401k. That's another issue or another problem where there's a lot of risk that needs to be managed inside of a 401k. And your risk is very different when you're 60 than when you're 40. Very, very different. So there's a lot to be considered, and that's why we look at a lot of these plans, and we do a lot of in-service distributions.
Now, to take money out is 59 and a half for the most part. What about if you don't need the money in a qualified plan? What's that look like?
Well, if you don't need the money, you just keep it in there, and it stays tax deferred, and you can do that up until 70 and a half. When you reach the age of 70 and a half, then you face a required minimum distribution, or for short we always say an RMD. So when you hit the RMD at 70 and a half, then you're forced into taking a small distribution. The first year you have to take out a little less than 4%, and then it gradually gets a little bit more each year as you get older, because it's these calculations are taken off of a mortality table, or what they refer to as a uniform lifetime table. But you're taking out a little bit more every year, and so in other words, what the government is saying is you can defer for so long. Now you hit 70, and now you have to start taking the money out and paying tax on it.
And if you're working for a company that has a 401k and you go past 70 and a half, does that still rule?
Yeah, that's different. Okay. Boy, we're getting real deep here, Steve, with all these intricate questions. I like that. Yeah, so if you're 70 and you're still working, and you're still, so you have a 401k plan, that account, that 401k account, is not subject to an RMD.
Yep.
Okay? Now, if you're 70 and you have other accounts, like you have an IRA account also, yep, that is subject to an RMD. So you could have some of your money subject to an RMD and some of it not subject
Yep.
to an RMD. But when you stop working, when you separate from service from your job, then you have to start taking the RMD.
And what happens if you forget a year or you start it when you're 72 or 73? What's the government do?
They don't like that. The penalty is pretty steep. It's pretty substantial. It's 50%, 50. So what we do is we take that very seriously at our practice. We monitor it very closely. What's really the best formula is if you can have the company that's holding your IRA.
Yep.
If you can get them to calculate that and distribute it automatically, so it doesn't require any action on your part. They just send you a check every year. Then that takes care of it. Then you don't have to worry about, oh, I forgot it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a big deal. It's a big deal for everybody. It's a big deal for us because we have a lot of clients where that is the case, where they have to take RMDs. It's a big deal for all these institutions that are holding these accounts because they've got to distribute the IRAs. But ultimately, the responsibility is borne by the taxpayer, by the consumer.
And the popularity of Roth IRAs has been growing steadily. What's the difference between the Roth and traditional IRA, and how are they handled for estate planning?
Yeah, so we really like the Roth IRA for a variety of reasons. One is with the Roth, your tax liability is flip-flopped from the traditional IRA. And by the way, it's hard to believe. The Roth IRA is now, it's over 20 years old. It was introduced as legislation back in 1997. But with a Roth IRA, what happens is you don't get any particular break when you put money into a Roth IRA. So in other words, you're not getting a tax break. But in exchange for that, all the growth on the Roth IRA is tax-free, not tax-deferred, but tax-free. And then when you take the distribution from the Roth IRA, that's also tax-free. So it's really a good way to get tax-free growth on retirement savings. And not only is it tax-free to you, but it's also tax-free to your spouse and then also to your beneficiaries, to your children. So you're really getting 2 generations of tax-free growth with a Roth IRA.
And why is it so important to have named beneficiaries on your IRAs for your heirs?
Well, you want to have, that's a good question. And we're really big on that in our practice too. So on your IRA account, you want to name a beneficiary and you want to name a contingent beneficiary. So the primary beneficiary, so let's say you have a family, husband, wife, and there's children, okay? So you want to name your spouse as the primary beneficiary. So if you die, Steve, if you have an IRA account, you die, your account goes to your wife, okay? If your wife then dies, the money then goes to your 3 children. Okay, so that's the first scenario. The second scenario is your wife predeceases you. If your wife predeceases you, then you die. The money goes directly to your contingent beneficiaries. The reason why that is so important to do that, because a lot of people say, oh, well, I have a will. Well, the will is different than a named beneficiary on an IRA, okay? If you have a will, okay, and you don't have named beneficiaries on your retirement account, the money will end up in probate and it will go through, the operation of your will. However, you're going to lose all the tax benefits. So if it's a traditional IRA, you lose all the tax-deferred growth, all the taxes become due immediately. If it's a Roth IRA, you lose the ability to keep going tax-free. So it's real important, and we're really big on this. Like when we bring people into our firm as new clients, we do a beneficiary audit. We make sure that the named beneficiary, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised at the mistakes that we have found over the years where, people get divorced and remarried and they still have the ex-wife on the account. Yeah, that's not a pleasant conversation to have with a new wife. Oh, yeah, John died and he forgot to update the beneficiary on his IRA, and the ex-wife is still on there. You don't want to have that conversation. So you want to make sure that the beneficiary designations are in place. Extremely important, and it's something that needs to be reviewed and updated periodically.
And what about a traditional IRA and gifting? I know there's something in the tax laws that they've extended. How would that be beneficial to a nonprofit?
Well, if you have, if you're over 70 and you have a required minimum distribution, you can, instead of taking the minimum distribution and taking that money yourself and paying the tax on it, you can have that required minimum distribution directed to a charity. Okay, so let's say it's your church. Okay, you have an RMD of, let's say, $5,000. And you don't need the $5,000 for income, so you just send it right to your church. Mm-hmm. So you tell the institution holding your IRA, hey, instead of making a check to me, make this check payable to my church. And then what happens is that becomes a qualified donation, and as a result, then you don't have to report that as income. Yep. So you get a direct benefit on that because it's a distribution that's not subject to tax. So, and of course the charities love that because they're getting money, and that's something that when the tax code was revised significantly about 1.5 years ago, they kept that in there. But I think they look at that every year, yep. And it's something that they renew every year, and it's something that has to continually be renewed. But it's been on the books now for several years. So we do it for a number of clients who want their charities to benefit from their RMDs. Yep.
And I know Social Security is a big part. Social Security maximization is a big part within Informed Family Financial.
It is a big part of Informed Family. We do seminars exclusively on Social Security and how it ties into taking your income. Social Security is, it's a big decision. For most married couples, they're getting over 1/3 of their income from Social Security. 37% of your income is coming from Social Security. So you don't want to leave that to chance, Steve. You don't want that decision based on, what you heard down at the barber shop, or, the ladies out there playing bridge or whatever. This is a big decision, and you need a lot of analysis to make your right Social Security decision.
And why not just call the Social Security Administration? Can't they help you?
They cannot. They cannot give you advice any more than the IRS can give you advice on tax strategies. So if you go down to the Social Security Administration, they can give you information about your benefit, but they can't give you any advice. And if you're a married couple, there's like 81 different ways to take Social Security, 81 different combinations. So no, the Social Security Administration is not going to sit down and go through all 81 different ways. But we will. Yeah. That's part of what we do. And we have Social Security, we have software that we use, and We subscribe to a lot of that those publications where we can advise on claiming strategies for Social Security.
And over the last few years, the government has brought it up more of fiduciary responsibilities. Up until probably 5 or 6 years ago, companies didn't have to actually print expenses in 401ks, and that's been changed. So how is that changing, Jeff?
Yeah, it's changed. I mean, it's good because it's it's given more information to the consumer. It's allowing the consumer to make more informed decisions, and as advisors, we should be operating in a fiduciary capacity. And of course, you and I have always operated in a fiduciary capacity because of our licenses, because of the designations that we have. The fiduciary capacity that we operate in means that we're acting in the best interest of our clients, as opposed to just recommending investments that are suitable. So the fiduciary is a higher standard because you know your customer, know your client, so you're making recommendations that are consistent with, really, it's really more overall comprehensive financial planning, which we believe in.
Yeah. And Informed Family, you've been published. We do the TV show. Tell us a little bit about the seminars.
Yeah, and we take the show on the road. So we're going to be here in Pottstown in a couple of weeks. We have information up on the screen. We do that because a lot of people are interested in primarily in claiming strategies for Social Security. So if you're interested in that, give our office a call. We can see that you get tickets. Call us. The number's up there on the screen. Send us an email. We like to take the show on the road. So we've been doing it now for a long time. We've been doing seminars for 20 years. We've been doing Social Security seminars for 6 or 7 years, a long time. So, we love Social Security seminars.
So that's it on my side, Jeff.
Yeah, so in closing, this was a good show today because what we got to do is we kind of got to incorporate a lot of the different retirement account strategies that we use, whether they're IRAs or 401ks, and we talked a little bit about those differences and taking distributions, and of course the Roth IRA, which is integral too. So we'd love to see the people. So give us a call, come out to one of the workshops, and we're gonna put a wrap on this one today. This is Financially Speaking.